Namaste and welcome. This is Thomas for Outcast Astrology, Lighthouse Tarot and Astrology, Lighthouse Yoga. Um, Today is April 26th. It's a Tuesday, just before noon, about 11:30. Wanted to do somewhat of a short video. I was just tooling around on Wikipedia, and say what you want about Wikipedia, but um, there's such great information, and with the way you can click through, it's really amazing. And this is not an endorsement. I'm not trying to get you to donate or anything. Just um, I do know people like to hate on Wikipedia, but so useful and, and really helpful to get you started in whatever your searches are. You can obviously navigate away from Wikipedia, but you're going to get great links, and you're going to get reputable sources. But you can always do further digging, and go deeper into things if you're unsure of what you're getting, the information is accurate. I wanted to start on this beautiful tree of life. This is an image from the Jood's Historisch Museum. This is by Eli Content. Uh, and Again, this is the tree of life. The Hebrew pronunciation I will butcher, but I'll try anyway. Etz HaChaim, and it is a mystical symbol that's used in the Kabbalah, in esoteric Judaism, and it describes the path to Hashem and the manner in which you arrive there, right? And this is creating something from nothing, right? This has to do with the creation of something from nothing, and this is really what this video is about, and that's why I wanted to jump on and make this video, because we're looking at really one of the basic tenets of theology, and what you could call ontology. And I'm gonna cancel out of here. I'm gonna remove this image, so it's going to take us to this wonderful page. And this is where I came to. I was clicking through on some other things, looking at some of the ancient gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia, Akkadian, and this is where I ended up, because this is something that's relevant to everything that we look at with regard to religious matters and ideas about creation. And there's some really great stuff in here that was new to me. So I just wanted to go through this with you briefly. Creatio Ex Nihilo, excuse me, which is Latin for creation out of nothing. It is the doctrine that matter is not eternal, but had to be created by some divine creative act. It is a theistic answer to the question of how the universe comes to exist. It is in contrast to ex nihilo nihil fit, or nothing comes from nothing, which means that all things were formed from pre-existing things, an idea by the Greek philosopher Parmenides, who lived from 540 to 480 BC, about the nature of all things, and later more formally stated by Titus Lucretius Carus. So we're going to scroll down, and this is where I think it gets really interesting. So in theology, ex nihilo nihil fit, which is uncreated matter. Ex nihilo nihil fit means that nothing comes from nothing. And you should read that quite literally. Nothing comes from nothing. Right, this is me speaking right now. And I'll leave it there, but it's easy to get caught up in that double negative, right? That you could form it more positively, which is everything comes from everything, or everything comes from something else, right? So in ancient creation myths, this is Wikipedia, in ancient creation myths, the universe is formed from eternal formless matter, namely the dark and still primordial ocean of chaos. In Sumerian myth, this cosmic ocean is personified as the goddess Namu, quote, who gave birth to heaven and earth, and had existed forever. In the Babylonian creation epic Enuma Elish, pre-existent chaos is made up of fresh water, Apsu, and salt water, Tiamat, and from Tiamat the god Marduk created heaven and earth. In Egyptian creation myths, a pre-existent watery chaos personified as the god Nun and associated with darkness gave birth to the primeval hill, or in some versions a primeval lotus flower, or in others a celestial cow. You start to see a theme here. And in Greek traditions, the ultimate origin of the universe, depending on the source, is sometimes okeanos, a river that encircles the earth, night or water, right? So waters, right? Waters. To these can be added the account of the book of Genesis, which opens with God separating and restraining the waters, not creating the waters themselves out of nothing. The Hebrew sentence which opens Genesis, and again, I will totally butcher this, but I will try. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashmaim ve'et haaretz, can be translated into English in at least three ways. One is a statement that the cosmos had an absolute beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Number two, as a statement describing the condition of the world when God began creating. When in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was untamed and shapeless. And number three, as background information. When in the beginning God created heavens and the earth being untamed and shapeless, God said, "Let there be light." It has been known since the Middle Ages that on strictly linguistic and exegetical grounds, option one is not the preferred translation. Our society sees the origin of matter as a question of crucial importance, but for ancient cultures this was not the case, and the authors of Genesis wrote of creation. When the authors of Genesis wrote of creation, they were concerned with God bringing the cosmos into operation by assigning roles and functions. Right, so I just want to comment on that, and that's really, again, the reason for this video, and thanks for sticking with me through all of that reading. The first statement that he says is not the accepted answer, is in the beginning God created the heavens and earth, right, which again speaks to this this notion that, again, there was nothing, and it was then created into something. And our society, it's written here, our society sees the origin of matter as a question of crucial importance, which I think is true, right? I think we do see, again, the Big Bang. Where does it all come from, right? Much of our science is based on, answering that question: where does it all come from? Why are we here? And how did we get here? What are we doing here? All of that is relevant in those questions, and I think that is important. Did it come from nothing? What did it come from? Was it here already? And again, does this hold true that nothing comes from nothing, or everything comes from something? This is important, right? So we're seeing that long ago, when these ancient texts were written, it wasn't as important for us, or it wasn't important for those cultures. Was creation already there, or was creation, sprung from nothing by God, right? Now, this is the creation of matter, and I'm gonna pretty much leave it here, and you can click over to this this Wikipedia page and do some more digging, click on some links. But the contrast to ex nihilo nihil fit is creatio ex nihilo. It is the idea that matter is not eternal, but was created by God at the initial cosmic moment. In the 2nd century, a new cosmogony arose, articulated by Plotinus, that the world was an emanation from God and thus part of God. This view of creation was repugnant to Christian church fathers as well as to Arabic and Hebrew philosophers, and they forcefully argued for the otherness of God and his creation, and that God created all things from nothing by the word of God. The first articulation of the notion of creation ex nihilo is found in the 2nd century writing To Autoclus, Autokylus, authored by Theophilus of Antioch. By the beginning of the 3rd century, the tension was resolved, and creation ex nihilo had become a fundamental tenet of Christian theology. Theophilus of Antioch is the first post-New Testament author to unambiguously argue for an ontological ex nihilo creation from nothing, contrasting it to the views of Plato and Lucretius, who asserted clearly that matter was pre-existent. So again, this is this is the stance of the church for sure, right? To this day, is that God created from nothing the heavens and the earth, right? And that statement that I read earlier, still at the top of the screen, that says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth," right? Means that He is the absolute beginning, right? And as He says, that initial cosmic moment, right? And that is distinct. So when you take that on, right? This is one of those first principles that we talk about often. When you take that on, it then sets a sort of row of dominoes in motion. Once you decide, okay, it came from nothing, and one thing sprung from nothing, you're left still, I think, with more questions. If you say matter was pre-existent, I think you still have some of those questions, but it changes that row of dominoes. It's like you set one spiral in motion, or you set the other spiral in motion, and they all have their logical conclusions. But let me just read this last paragraph. In modern times, some Christian theologians argue that although the Bible does not explicitly mention creation ex nihilo, various passages suggest or imply it. Others assert that it gains validity from having been held by so many for so long, and others find support in modern cosmological theories surrounding the Big Bang. Some examine alternatives to Creatio Ex Nihilo, such as the idea that God created from His own self or from Christ, but this seems to imply that the world is more or less identical with God, or that God created from pre-existent matter, which at least has biblical support, but this implies that the world does not depend on God for existence. So if you want my opinion, I'm gonna share it with you here. It's really what was articulated by Plotinus, that the world was an emanation from God and thus part of God. And so when we look out at the trees, we see that the trees and the grass and the birds and all of that, you're looking at God, and you're looking at the Creator. When you're looking at the sunset, when you're looking at the sunrise, when you're looking out over the lake, when you're looking at a mountain, right, that is God. When you're observing these manifest creations, even in cities, right? Because if you're looking at the mountain and you call that God, that means that, or you call anything God, the bug, the bird, the wolf, right? All of those things you're going to call God. You're also needing then to call yourself God, right? Or the people that you encounter, you're also calling them God, and appreciating them as such, as creations of God and also creator beings. So then it follows that the works that we create are also God-like, right? So the buildings, even, you might look at them as crass, as I often do. I sometimes get overwhelmed by the concrete in the pavement, and these little plots of land for trees. It's kind of sad to me. I love the open forest and the untouched wilderness, but I understand. I live in a city, and I appreciate all the conveniences, if you can say it that way. But I really do see it this way, that everything is an emanation of God and thus part of God, and we we are, as human beings, I think, occupying a special place, as um, we're of God of the highest order, right? If we have certain parts of a human being that are animalistic, right? Our need for food and survival and procreation, all of those things we have in common with the animal world. We have this amazing mind and this amazing consciousness that is able to, just even think about all the things that we're talking about here. And this is, sort of the highest expression. So we could say that we're thoughts. We are, if certain parts are emanations, are material, are physical form, human beings are like thoughts, right? You are a thought of God. You are that highest order manifestation of the God. So hopefully that doesn't, stir up too much, but these videos, who knows? Who knows where they'll go? All right, my friends, I'll leave it there. That's plenty, a little over 15 minutes, but I will see you on the next one. Go check out this page, Creatio Ex Nihilo. Finally said it right. I'll leave you with the tree of life. See you on the next one. Peace.